I'm hopping into this call because I know that you specialize in branding.
Mhm.
And Brady, he mentioned a lot about your background and experience with I think it was a like teeth whitening
Yes,
brand.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it's crazy because I've heard of it also. So I'm just like, oh my God, that's so crazy that she works for that huge of a brand. So I'm mainly hopping into your call, hoping to get some of your insight and your insight.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about me if Brady hasn't mentioned it.
Mhm.
And then I would love to see where you're at in developing the agency. And then we can go back and forth to see like from the branding, from the operations, from like the whole setup.
Mhm.
Make sure you're successful and like way on your own where you can like start bringing in a lot of clients. Um, yeah, so for me, I started with marketing agencies and then from there built out the e-commerce brand Snow with my business partner from ground zero, from the ideation, from creating the product, and my involvement in that was creating the products, supply chain, operations, hiring, expanding the team, branding, the customer experience. So I got really detailed and passionate about developing an amazing experience, not only physically, but like what type of emails do they get in the sequence, how should we manage customer service when product doesn't work, how do we decrease the refunds, how do we make sure there's no malfunctions because it was an electric product, and then managing relationships with vendors overseas, staying up till 4 a.m., making sure like reiteration, sending it back, and always improving the product, the experience, and the branding and the messaging. So branding, what it meant for me was how do we want to be portrayed and what type of perspective do we want to show up online to all these customers, all these eyeballs, because when you have the financial means to spread the message, you want to make sure that that message, one, relates to your customers, but two, making sure that it's very consistent throughout, because that is branding. Your branding is your identity of your product or service of your company. And we all have seen a lot of scenarios where big brands have a bad campaign or a bad marketing campaign, and then it goes south, right? Like that for me is branding. It's like, what is the message that you can get out, and what do you want to tell consumers, what you stand for, how are you delivering the product, making sure that you're able to tell them that and show it through multiple different ways. So that was really important to me, and this is why I got to really love branding through developing that e-commerce product. But after I left that and I exited that 3 years ago, I ended up doing just consulting for startups, and I did both e-commerce and service based. And then again, the same thing. So for me, it was like, how do I continue to do what I did for one brand successfully and do it for all my clients? And so it was the same thing, the customer experience and the branding aspect of it. And therefore makes marketing a lot easier for those with paid advertisement or organic. Organic, it's a little harder, but it's the most genuine, the most organic. And again, back to messaging, back to branding. And so I've been doing that. I've been helping students now start their business online from scratch, from ideation, from LLC, from accounting, all the way to marketing ideas and strategies. And that's why me and Brady connected really well, because we're both trying to help a lot of people do this for themselves, because we have done it for ourselves. And I know the information out there is overwhelming. And then the end goal is always financial freedom and time and freedom for you, whatever your goals are. And I helped a lot of people so start their side hustle or leave their 9 to 5. And I'm a huge advocate for that, but at the same time, making sure that we're well balanced with our mental health and taking care of ourselves.
I love that story.
Yeah.
transition from, you starting out with like a marketing agency to building your own brand. And then even after you left, spending all that time building something that incredible, it's like
Mm.
you went back to consulting to help other brands to do the same thing. So I feel like that was very, very inspiring, and I really
Thank
appreciate you
you.
sharing.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, a lot of burnout building a physical
Um,
product. It was very intense. I didn't know what I know now. Looking back at it, I come from a very hardworking family, immigrant family where
uh-huh.
work. I went to corporate actually. I forgot to mention that I worked at
Um,
Deloitte. So I went the whole corporate round. I was like, I made it, mom, I made it. I have this great career. I'm going to work. And it was
uh-huh.
like so draining. So I think I developed an identity of overworking so hard that
Oh,
being in the places where I got to shine, I got to learn a lot of my skill sets that I would have never had to learn and have known. But I overworked and I went through burnout. And what I wish I knew then was to take care of myself, take care of like balancing that out and saying, okay, I needed whatever I have to do to recharge, to show up for others, because there are some times where I wasn't the best that I could have or I wanted to for my employees. And as a leader, as growing this huge company, it becomes really hard where it's like, I need to throw in the towel, I can't. And so now consulting entrepreneurs, I make sure that that's my message as well, is knowing what you want to build, the sacrifices that it take, but also like making sure that you can like balance it out and take care of yourself.
yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
I think there is like that one saying where it's like leading by example. So then when you overwork yourself, it's like, you kind of set that example for employees. So that does make a lot of sense. What makes you like want to transition like out of a corporate job?
Transitioning out of a corporate job, for me, I never wanted to be capped in my ideas. And the best thing for yourself is to know yourself way like a lot, so you understand where you best fit at. And I don't like the word fit because I feel like we're multi-dimensional people where we know a lot, we have a lot of passions, we have a lot of skill sets, and one job or one role or one company might not be giving you everything that you need to feel fulfilled. So in corporate, I was overworked. I felt underappreciated. I felt like giving, I wasn't getting back what I was putting in.
Mm,
I got to know that I like to be appreciated. I like to know that my work, whether it's a time or impact, has a huge return on my invested time. And for me, spreadsheets day in, day out, or just like making sure the numbers were right, like it wasn't fulfilling for me. And I didn't like to be capped in my creativity and financially, knowing that I can always overwork. So I knew I can overwork, but spending 160 hours a week, I wasn't getting that return in fulfillment in my heart and also like financially, knowing that there's so many more opportunities out there. So I think for me, it was such a great challenge to challenge myself, even though it was the highest risk. I believed in myself enough to know that the return on my risk is high reward, because I gonna overwork. I know that. Now I know that I need to balance it out. But now I get to experiment with my creativity, with my ideas. I get to do trial and
mhm.
error, and I also get to impact a lot of people at once. So that was for me, yeah. And
I think
and
um,
there's a lot of times where I don't like I don't like being like very definitive,
mhm,
where it's like it's always entrepreneurship, it's always corporate, it's always this. Like
mhm,
there are some people that have their side hustle as a hobby,
mhm,
because the moment that you turn it into a profitable business, then you
mhm,
have more stress, more sacrifice, more expectations, and now the passion you had for this one thing kind of loses it lose that passion, because now you have to make money in business, right? Like to survive and to grow and to
Uh-huh.
hire. So a lot of times you just have to know for yourself, do I want to continue doing this out of passion? Do I want to continue doing this out of business? Do I have a vision to hire hundreds of people? Can I one day create the same structure as a corporate, because I need HR, I need taxes, I need payroll, I need health insurance, right? These are the things that end up
Mm-hmm.
happening. And I think entrepreneurs lose that, where they didn't sign up for that and they left.
Oh,
You see, they left one thing, but then they ended up creating what they left. And so that's very important to differentiate, understanding what it could become. And there's some times where it's like, okay, I get it. I have a vision to help millions of people. And in that, I'm going to have to create a team. I'm going to have to create a company culture. I'm going to have to create all these departments. I'm going to have to go back to accounting, because that's what I ended up doing. I left an accounting corporate job to then having to create a whole full accounting department in my company, having to look at spreadsheets, having to look at numbers, but now it's mine, but now I know it's a bigger impact. But now I see it from a new lens of saying, okay, this is what it needs to happen in order for me to have this grand vision of helping millions of people. I'm okay with that. But now I get to oversee it. Maybe now I have the ability to make it different, you know? So now I'm going to incorporate uh, leaving Fridays at 3 p.m. because I believe people, like, I want to reward my people from that, my employees. I want to make sure that they're getting a good enough family time and PTO, whatever that is. Now
mm-hmm.
you have the ability to do that if that's where you want to go and that's what you want to create. But it's very important for you to know what you want, who you are, the big vision, and just being super focused, structured, and saying, all right, let's do it.
Gotcha. And I actually like really love how you mentioned before. I actually wrote it down where you said like the best thing for yourself is to like know yourself. And I feel like, like growing up in an immigrant family, like a lot of parents like they, prioritize, a good education and good corporate job. And so it's almost like, you're trying to fulfill that, like for them. And so when it comes to like discovering yourself, like how was your journey like? And are there any tips that you would recommend?
Yeah, oh my God, it's one of my favorite topics, because it
Uh-huh.
feels really good to be okay with who you are and not having to necessarily change who you
Mm,
are, but work with the parts of you that you know you just can't change. And you know that whether you're in a relationship or
uh-huh.
in a corporate environment or in a work environment, like there are certain things about yourself that just can't change. And the moment you stop trying to change that about you, you feel so good of accepting who you are. But then like the discovery of who you are is through awareness, is through asking yourself questions. And it's you, it's your life. And like you said, we have so much influence culturally by
Mm,
friends, by family, by the environments we grew up, our financial status, how we grew up, the jobs we went to, the career we went to, the school we went. So much influence, so much programming, that at the end of the day, you end up asking yourself the simplest questions of like, who am I? Because there's certain parts of me that's like, oh my God, that's my mother. Like that part of me is my mother. Um, so what really helped me is and I ended up barely starting to discover myself. When I say barely, it's cut what 4 years that I
mhm.
dove into who am I, what do I want, what do I really enjoy, what am I passionate about. And I will give you the simplest things where you build this awareness through catching it right away. And as you start building this habit and this behavior, it becomes like a nature to you. So like, for example, a long time ago, I used to I used to have a list. I am avid at putting all my thoughts into my notes, just because I feel like I'm going to forget and there's millions of thoughts going in my head at one time. So one, I used to always write down compliments I would get if they happened 2 or 3 times, because that was a validation for me that they were real rather than just my mom saying something, right? Like it
Okay.
had to happen 3 times from 3 different people for me to know that, okay, that's actually who I am, that I didn't know that about myself. So one of them was like, you have a very calming energy. You're a great listener. You empower me. You inspire me. And so like all the same things that people used to tell me as compliments. And this was also to build my self-esteem, because I had some like self-worth issues after I like left my company that I built, and I was just rediscovering myself, if I'm being honest with you.
Mm,
So I just have a list, and then that list became into like 100 phrases of like, this is what people see in me. I also have to see this in myself too. And that went with some tough conversations as well, where it's like, hey, you tend to avoid confrontation. And I was like, oh yeah, actually I do. I avoid confrontation at all costs. So that was really understanding, okay, I do that. Why do I do that? Okay, I don't want to cause conflict. Why don't I want to cause conflict? Oh, because I don't want to make the other person feel bad. And
mm,
we tend to build all these stories where it's like,
yeah.
let me just take it as it is. Let me just talk about it. So I build a better communication with people around me, and it just feels really good and like at peace, and just like, this is what it is. I'm not going to overcomplicate things. I'm going to have great conversations. I read a lot. I listened to a lot of personal development podcasts. And I asked myself a lot of like introspective questions to try to get to know myself. And another list that I created was also like, what lights me up? Like, and it has to be right at the moment, and you notice it. So like, I started speaking. First, I used to never speak in front of people. I was scared. I was shy. I thought people were gonna judge me, like all these things, right? And I started doing a lot of interviews and speaking because obviously my experience and my success. And I started writing things down that light me up, that and I got to understand when that happened. So like when I'm really fulfilled, when I'm happy, when I want to do more of it, when I lose time, when I lose track of time, like all those are indications of you are acting in your power. And that's when anything. So for me, it was like when I was speaking, I would get so fulfilled, I would lose track of time. I would just speak forever. It felt like I was at flow. I felt like I was lit up. I was so happy. So I would write it down. I get really happy when I speak. When I was talking to someone one on one and I felt like I helped them out, like I love helping people out. When I was with my family, when I was with my nephews, and I was just in the present moment, like I was happy. I was like, I love spending time with family. When I was at my company and I was hiring people, and I got to see people be really good at their job, like
Uh-huh.
that got me really excited. I love placing people and helping them explore their skill sets. Like that was like really happy for me. So throughout the time, why is that helpful? Because for me, I get to do more of that. And I get to like, that is my way to like be of useful of my skill sets right now, because a lot of us have all these skills that we're like throwing away. We have so much potential that we have no idea. And at the end of the day, like we love to help people, but in what way and how does that look like? There's some
Mhm.
people that don't even want to talk to people, but in the background, they're coders and they're just creating this great program and this great software. So like for them, it would be like, I love creating solutions for people. Like, okay, they
Mhm.
love creating these things, doesn't mean they want to talk to people, but they're
Mhm.
still getting excited and lit up and they're still helping
Mhm.
people, doesn't mean it has to be direct. So that's really important for us to understand. And that all goes back to what are you doing? Where are you at? Because as you're building an agency or a company,
Mhm.
you get to understand where you best fit in your own company. There are some CEOs that and founders that build up companies and they're horrible with people, but they're really good at raising money for some reason. Like so there's certain
Yeah.
because for them it's like I love sales, I love making money, I love
Mhm.
driving the company forward, but I cannot be in HR because I don't know how to like talk to people and I'm
Mhm.
really direct and I might hurt someone's feelings. So like it's also very important to know yourself because as you're building a company, you get to hire the right people, the right talent to take over the part that you are not good at. Because when you're growing a company, a lot of entrepreneurs are the reason why it fails. And then it is very hard to take as for your ego is like, I am the reason why my company didn't succeed, but you can also be the reason why your company succeeds. You do want to be the reason why it fails or succeeds. And it comes down, I think, in my opinion, is knowing yourself and where you best fit at to be able to
Uh-huh.
drive that company forward. So hire the best people, make money. At the beginning, yeah, you have to do a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And it's faster to know what things to outsource, what things to spend time learning, what things to
Mhm.
like learn just enough, make enough money and like outsource it. Like accounting is one of them. People just hate numbers. Like, why would you spend so much time trying to like learn how to reconcile on QuickBooks? Like, get out of there if you're gonna mess it up. Don't spend time because again, that's energy and that's like
Mhm.
you build resentment towards this business. Like the best is to know enough to then
Yeah.
hire the right people to outsource it to let them do what they're good at and then you
Mhm.
get in places where you're able to drive the company forward and grow it and like scale it and hire people and create opportunities and get more clients. So that's why I think it's really important to know yourself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, especially like when it comes to like not even just personal, like knowing yourself so that it help so that you know where you fit in the company.
Mhm.
And it's funny that you mentioned that right now because I feel like that's in like literally like the position that I'm in right now, where
Yeah.
it's like it's in the very beginning and I'm like figuring out like, the aspects of the company that I enjoy doing. Because when you're just starting out, it's kind of like a one person team. And so it's
Mhm.
like you have so many tasks that you have to do.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like discovering like, which aspects or like which I guess like department of the business where you best shine, like um what would be like your process in, like determining that?
First, I would do, I like to give this exercise to my entrepreneurs. It doesn't have to be first step, but eventually during the line, you should do it. But like create an organizational chart of all of the people that you need to place to make this business successful, like the marketing department, the project managers, the operation director, the director of sales, to get clients.
Mhm.
And then just map it out as an organizational chart of where everybody should be. And then like eventually you're actually going to know, oh, I need three project managers to have 10 clients because this is the amount you need. They can take to scale. So then as the founder, you're going to get to understand building an agency. How many project managers do you need? How many directors of operation? Who gets to report to who? Because then you're going to build barriers so not everybody's coming to you and you're
Mhm.
overwhelmed with everybody's problems and everything that's going on. So one, have this like fantasy organizational chart for you to be able to see who do I need to hire to make this agency work. And let's just say with the goal of
Mhm.
10 million a year or whatever that looks like. What services do you want to offer? Like just put it all down, brainstorm it, maybe have somebody that's already doing it, check it to like give you more insight. That's one. But then two, it's also getting at the beginning, we get to do a lot of things, and that's how we're going to figure out what we like.
Mhm.
Again, like hiring or doing operations, doing systems, creating the SOPs, doing the accounting, doing the sales, reaching out, cold email. Like I used to write at the beginning of creating my company, I wrote every single thing down that I did during the day. And then I would rate it and I would say, do I enjoy doing this? One, there's different types of ratings you do for your daily task. And that's how it's going to bring you the awareness of not to get lost in the weeds in the day to day as you're growing your company. So one is, do I enjoy doing this task? Sometimes it's going to be yes, I love talking to people. But
Mhm.
then the other rating and the hard rating is going to be like, does me doing this task day in and day out, does it help or does it hurt the growth of the company? So that's a very important questions because one, at the beginning, I love talking to customers. I did customer service myself, but was this growing my company? No. It does not matter how I answer that customer. I can train someone to make sure like I can build templates. I can train them how to respond to customers. What do we do in a chargeback? What do we do in a refund? What do we do with the upset customer? What do we do with a really happy customer? We want to grab that testimony. So I got to learn how to do that, but that was not crucial for me to scale this company. If I just focus on that, this is something that I could be replaced. So can I replace myself with this task? Absolutely. Do I need to in order to grow my company? Absolutely. Do I enjoy it? Yes, I do, but I can't stay stuck to this any longer. So I would have a list of every single task that I did, and I would say,
Mhm.
do I enjoy it? Yeah. Maybe it's a task that I didn't enjoy. Maybe it's accounting. I don't enjoy this task. Is this crucial for my company? Yes, it is. It's very crucial because you need to understand the numbers. So the crucial part of that task, one, you have to hire the best or hire a great person. And two, you always need to be in the known of this task because it could make or break your company. But you do not have to, if you don't like it, you don't have to be the one that does it because there's other people that enjoy it and that are going to do it better than you. So counting, I will always have a known in my numbers, but I don't have to be the one that does it
Mm.
because I have better tasks to be doing at this stage of my company. So the stages are also very important, right? At the beginning, if you're not making a lot of money, with e-commerce is very hard because it's very cash flow intensive and you're paying for an actual product and your money gets sucked in right away. And there's a huge demand or there's a huge focus on having to make that return right away. With services, luckily you're using your time, but it's also your time.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to know like at what stage of this company do I have to be very, very specific and crucial with where my time is being spent.
Mhm.
So I also have a list where you should one understand what you're doing, all of your tasks, and then be able to see where can I devote the most amount of time and money so I can get the most ROI to scale this company. So, all right, sales. Sales is a big one. Marketing is a big one. Those are really big arms because you get clients in.
Mhm.
So I need to spend most of my time getting clients in because when I get more clients, I get more money, I get bigger contracts. Then I have the ability to hire people and outsource and get more people to take stuff off my plate. So then you're able to allocate that money and see where do I need to get people and outsource people or maybe get a part-time, a contractor, a consultant to save me time and help me scale this. So those are very important questions to ask yourself. And that's with everything, like every single task and what needs to drive this forward. Where's my time and money? What is the next best step to take to drive this company forward? And where is my time best utilized at? Where's my money best spent at on the next best thing that's going to help me drive my company forward? And those are daily questions that you ask yourself. And those are the questions you ask yourself even before you're about to do something, and then a mini audit after you do the thing. So whether it's daily or weekly or monthly, you're able to look back and have an actual audit of all of the things that you've done and you're doing, so you don't get lost in the process, because it's very easy for us to do. And then understanding if there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that don't ask for help and think that they are the only ones that can do that job the best. And
I've heard that before.
that is the hardest thing for an entrepreneur is letting go of the reins and saying, I know how to do this the best. Nobody else can do it the best. I don't trust, like what's that underneath that decision? I don't trust anybody else to do it the best. I don't trust that I can teach people how to do it because I'm the only one that knows how to do it. Like, these are the things that will keep an entrepreneur like from scaling and from really creating a company that can hire people to do it for them. But once they get to release the reins, hire someone or have somebody else do it, or maybe a portion of that, maybe at the beginning you're you don't have enough time or cash to hire someone, but maybe a portion of that gets outsourced in order for you to help you finish that task or that project. Like, getting help is really crucial, and understanding where, like, there's some things where I can't spend 5 hours doing research and just doing Excel research or going out and getting micro influencers for a business. Like, I know that my time is not best doing that, so I'm going to outsource that. I'm not going to outsource the whole thing because I'm the brain of this strategy. I'm the brain of understanding how I want it to come out as. So I'm going to hire the research portion because I can't spend 5 hours, because I'd rather spend 5 hours doing something else or looking at data or insights or actually moving it and making it happen. But I'm going to hire someone just to give me 10,000 list of micro influencers. That's just an example of like where I get to sit back and be like, wow, this person probably has a software tool or does this all day, and they were able to give me the best micro influencers instead of me just spending very manual trying to look for it, right? So you have to understand which portion of that task or project needs to be outsourced in order for you to save you time, so you can spend that time elsewhere. And that's why, like, knowing where you're best fit at as a company is really important, because maybe you are the best at doing this one thing, and then maybe you hire a consultant to do the strategy part of it, the idea part of it. If you're just too much in your head and you don't have that creativity juice, maybe it's useful for an outside person to come in and say, oh, you should just do this, this, and that, and do this, and have this. And like, now you have this brand new juicy creative idea, and now you know how to execute it, and you're really good at processes and systems. And then you have you understand how to develop this and execute this, and you have your steps and you have your deadlines and you're super organized. Maybe that's your superpower, and like you make it happen. So understanding which part of that like you fit in, and getting the right people. And then I have a list of like, does this need to be a consulting job, a contract job, a freelancer job, a part-time job, or a full-time job, or an executive job? So like that whole list is going to be also important of like, who do I need to hire to help me with this? first and foremost. The strategy side, maybe is a consultant that comes in and builds this whole strategy out, right? Or maybe it's just a freelancer or contractor that you just need 5 hours from them to do that research part. Or maybe you need to wait and really hire 3 to 6 months out for a full-time or an executive role. If you're in that stage of building out your company, then that's going to take a little longer, and then you want the best for that role. So all these are just decisions where as you're building your company, as you're growing it, you get to understand, all right, making better decisions, because the wrong decisions are going to be very costly.
These are all really helpful. I'm like writing them down.
And I'm also recording this for the rest of the group, so you can re-listen to this.
Goodness.
Yeah, you can listen to this, and I'll be posting it so a lot of people can also listen in. These are really good questions that you're getting out of me too.
No, I really appreciate you sharing. I think like a lot of the things that you answered, like it went so in detail that it actually like answered some questions that I didn't even have, but would have been good to ask.
Nice.
So just to make sure I got everything, I guess like the main points that you were talking about in terms of being able to find where you best fit within your company. So the first step would be to create like an organizational chart, almost like a map, so you can visually see, you know, where your dream organization would look like.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, you know, eventually you'll be able to know how many people is needed for each spot in order to maintain or scale the business, who's going to report to who.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that you learn along the process. But having that chart in the beginning will help you like visualize everything. And then creating a daily list of what you do, and then being able to rate that so you can understand, you know, what tasks you enjoy, but also being aware that, you know, sometimes the tasks that you do enjoy might not be the best investment of your time.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to be aware of that is also really helpful. And then so then that can kind of like help you identify, you know, what you enjoy, but also like what tasks are important for, you know, both your own fulfillment, but also for the company as a whole. And then later on, when you do have the funds to hire, also being aware of what kind of people you want to hire, whether it be like an executive, a consultant, someone part-time or full-time. And so being able to being aware of that, and overall trying to make the right decision, because in the beginning, wrong decisions can cost a lot.
Yes, that was really good. I'm really surprised that you got all that. But yeah, that's exactly it. And regardless, you will learn along the way. Like you said that, like you're gonna figure it out. It might be a little painful. It might be some lessons, but I'm really happy that you do have me and Brady and all the educators as mentors, and always finding those mentors that have done it, that have gone through it, so they're able to tell you. But the way I learned, if I'm being completely honest, I learned by just doing. I learned by just figuring it out. I had no mentors near me. I just spent a lot of time like figuring it out. And it was very painful and costly, and it led me to burnout and all this. So you're gonna figure it out, like who you are. You'll figure it out. If you already have this entrepreneur like fire in you, we end up figuring it out. But it's best to surround yourself with people and mentors that have done it to tell you to what they've done, what they've seen. And I've seen it in both e-commerce and then service-based business and marketing agencies as well.
I'm a little I got a little sidetracked, but I do have like a question that I'm like really curious about.
Yeah.
Just about your transition from accounting to like, I guess like overall branding and in the creative space. So I was just like a little bit curious about like that transition, because funny enough, I actually went to school for accounting. And then once I got out of I graduated with a degree in accounting, but my first job was in marketing. And so I kind of like really relate to that. And I was just curious to hear your experience and how that became.
Yeah, and then I'll tell you a funnier story. Is my sister is a CPA. She works for an accounting firm, and I ended
Uh-huh.
up actually helping her build a side hustle as
Oh.
an accounting company. Is because it's just, but now I'm able to see it from a business perspective.
Oh,
And what
uh-huh.
really excited me was building content in this subject, in this industry.
Mm.
I did a whole really cool social media behind it. I made accounting fun. Like, because now I'm able to see it from a content creator, from a business perspective. And then I was able to roll out a really cool customer experience. So they get a digital PDFs of like educational stuff. I send periodic emails of like something they should know about, or how to keep your receipts, or how to track your miles, like really cool informational stuff that you just don't see in the accounting industry. But I'm able to
Mhm.
bring that in because of my experience as a business owner and content creator and digital marketer. But I don't like the bookkeeping side of it. So we outsource, and we are able to hire local university students in accounting that are
Oh,
learning. So, like for me, it's a win-win. I get to do what I love in the business. I love the business side, and I get
uh-huh.
to provide opportunity for students in doing QuickBooks, which I never want to spend my time doing. So that's how like it all came around. But that transition was really exciting and scary for me. One, because accounting and corporate always gave me a sense of security
Oh
and
yeah.
stability. And it was always like, it's stable. I have a W-2 job. I know exactly where I want to go. I see
Mhm.
the vision. I want to be the young partner in this company, and the female and Hispanic. Like, I had this vision, but that was me acting on an identity of what I wanted to give my parents, because it's like, I just want this huge title, and I want this success and these accomplishments, to show my mom that her sacrifice was made. And like, it was really hard for me personally to leave something so stable, take a risk, but also know that I was very excited and fulfilled using my creativity. And I think, again, the opportunity of being in the online space and making businesses online, and being so on trend with like what's happening and all the platforms, it was really exciting for me. And it was sexy, and it was trendy, and it was
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
I'm in the known, and it's cool, and I get to talk about it, and I get to move with this industry. And now it's TikTok. Now I get to see all the back end. And then Social Dilemma came out, and I was like, duh, I know all about the data. That's what we use as marketers. So for me, it was really exciting to be in this industry, not only from the creativity standpoint, from the marketing. And for me, it's deeper than that. It's more like the customer psychology of it. Why do people
Mhm.
buy? Like, what entices people? I think for me, is a game, is a challenge of like, how do you get people to buy from an ethical integrity point of view? Now, for me as a marketer, right? Like, I just want to know the psychology of the consumerism, or why people buy, or why are these colors. And like, I get super nerdy about that stuff, but I also got to like have this expansion of like, I get to create, there's no stopping. There's like a brick and mortar store, and it's a retail store. There's a certain capacity of how many people fit in that store, right? Like, but
Mhm.
building an online product, we have millions of people visiting our sites, where like, you can't really do that in a physical realm. Like,
Mhm.
the opportunity of just being in this online presence and industry is just like really exciting for me, and that hasn't left, because of the opportunity, because people could get into it if they're 12 years old. People like, does or you 87 years old, you can start
Mhm.
online business. You can share your passion as a blog. So I think for me, like that is what really excites me. And like it was first sight, like first love. So I'm just saying, I'm explaining my first dating love story with online entrepreneurship and like as a digital marketer. So like that is where my continuous passion stems from. And I
Mhm.
like I felt like things were meant to happen, and like I met the right people that led me here, and I got to learn on my own. And even though it was the most stressful and hard and painful, and I lost a lot of money and like lessons and partnerships, like I still think like it was the best thing for me. And that's why I'm always going to preach like you can do it. You can have a 9 to 5, or you can leave it, or you can have this side hustle, or you can have it as a hobby, or you can have extra money coming in just for your wedding, for this seasonal thing. Do stuff on Etsy. Like I just love empowering people through that.
Just doing what you want, essentially,
Yeah. Like
and
if
not
you
having anyone.
anybody that
Uh-huh.
has a passion or is creative can have a little taste and curiosity of building something for themselves at whatever capacity, right? It doesn't have to be
Uh-huh.
$1 million business and huge and hundreds of employees. It could just be something for you that gives you that sense of passion and creativity, because women
Uh-huh.
and just humans, we love to create. And how awesome to have something, even if it's just for your own passion, to understand your own skill sets and develop something, or for a little extra money. Like I know some companies that just want to make 6 figures, and their only thing was just to replace their income, and they're happy because they get more time, right? So they're
Yeah.
giving up
Uh-huh.
$10 million a year for just $150,000 a year, but it's just them and their wife running the business, and it's amazing, and they get to travel. So like, what do you really want? What lifestyle do you want to build? What do you want out of whatever you're going to create? And that's it. You don't have to get influenced by these people that say get on Forbes and have this $100 million exit, and like, what is it that you really want, and be okay with that. That's my thing. That's my opinion and experience.
I think that's actually like a really refreshing point of view, because I feel like especially with like social media these days, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's very like go big or go home,
Hmm.
grind 24/7.
Yeah.
You're either a millionaire, or you're not. And so
Yeah.
it's very refreshing to, to hear that whatever your goal is and your definition of
Mhm.
success is, try to aim for that. And that's, that's okay.
I
That's
will
really refreshing
always
to hear.
always stand. I will always say my opinion because I got to experience it. I got to see it. People around people around me in the industry, social media. I got to understand myself. I got to understand the ego. I got to understand entrepreneurship. And I got to experience becoming a millionaire and then losing it all, then like building wealth for the first time, and then having that stigma of like, growing up super humble, and then as a Hispanic, like all these different thoughts and ideas and feelings and experiences. Whereas,
Mhm.
like, at the end of the day, why are we doing this for? Do you really want $100 million exit for the name, for the status, for the
Mhm.
recognition? Or do you really want and know that that's going to give you generational wealth, and you go for that and you do it and you understand the sacrifice? And if that's what you want, maybe you get to 50 million and you have your real estate portfolio, you have passive income, like maybe that's the stop, like whatever that is. Or maybe it's too much for your health, or you don't have enough time for your family, or you're not building great relationships, or you're on your third divorce, and maybe like, okay, maybe I need to like slow down, and maybe I don't want the 100
Yeah.
million, and maybe I do want a relationship. And then you get to understand that. But I really hope in me expressing this little taboo thought that I just share so openly is that, like,
Mhm.
bringing awareness so it's not too late for you, so you don't have to go through the divorce, so you don't have to go through a health illness, so you don't have to go to the top and be lonely and is like, this is not what I wanted, and it's too late. So
Mm-hmm.
I express it.
That really has me thinking now. It's like, what do I want?
I hope it was good and it's not bad. It doesn't change our plans. But again,
Oh
like,
no, no, no. It was really good. I think it was actually very comforting to hear as well.
mhm,
Um, yeah, it was definitely like really comforting to hear, to know that, if I do have like a goal that might not be as ambition to, like, like brag about on social media, like, oh, I wanna make like $100 million, and it's okay. So that's,
it feels good, right?
yeah, it does feel good.
It feels
Uh-huh.
really good because you feel like I put all this time and this is what I want and this is the recognition I want.
Uh-huh.
I want that headline, and I wanted to be on
Yeah.
Forbes and all that
Uh-huh.
stuff. Then it's like, calm down, be in a peaceful state and really go inward. This is like, what's going to make me happy for me, not for the validation or approval of everybody externally. And for some people, it is that red Ferrari and it is that $1 million mark. And like
Mm-hmm.
that, but they'll know until they get there. Sometimes they have to get
Oh,
there. Sometimes
uh-huh.
maybe that is the way they get there. Sometimes that is the motivation for them to get there and fulfill that. But when they get there, when they get all that, that is when they will know if that's what they really wanted or not.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they won't admit it because they spent all this time, right? And like they sacrifice all this.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes their ego will not allow them to say, this is not what I wanted. And they just like deal with it. But if you can avoid all that, if you can be content and happy with what you want, who you are, and what you actually want in this journey,
Mm-hmm.
everything else is going to be so easy. And like, yeah, I don't need that. Like, I rather have, sometimes I work 5 hours a week and I'm okay with not making X amount of money because I have my freedom, because I got to realize my priority is my freedom of time, because
Mm-hmm.
I get to go in nature. I get to go up north and like on a Tuesday and just spend all day and disconnect. And that makes me so happy. And I will never trade that for anything. But that's my priority. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
That makes
The
sense.
sooner you realize that, I think the
Uh-huh.
more at peace you will be with yourself.
Uh-huh. No, for sure. It's so funny because I think I had to talk with my dad yesterday,
Mhm.
when we were talking about like onboarding clients for the agency. He was telling me how like there's no point of having like so many clients and earning so much money if you won't have like the time to
Mhm.
enjoy it. And so I think what like everything that you're telling me right now just kind of like reinforces that idea of like, what's the point of, making so much money if you can't even enjoy it, if it's not
Yeah.
aligned with what you want.
And
So
with
that,
that, you can even say, like, you know what? I just want 3 or 5 good clients, but they're going to be high end clients because I'm going to have the extra time to devote to each client. So now you have the time. So now you want less clients, but you're going to over deliver. You're going to have more value. And you could end up having the same amount of money for less clients, is just how you go about it. And maybe you get to be more selective. You get to be more selective on who you want, because now you're
mm-hmm,
going based on quality clients. You,
mm-hmm,
you have maybe a waiting list because they want to work with you, because you have more money to hire better people, have more
mm-hmm,
resources, more time for you to devote to this client, and maybe it's less clients at a higher price point. Like, maybe that's your model. Like, it all depends on what you want. And like, you can also see it that way, because I believe you can have it all. Yeah, there's some sacrifices here and there, but if you also want the money and you want the time, it's just change your model.
oh my god, oh, wait, I got too focused on absorbing. I forgot to write that down, so I'm glad that it's still recording.
It's recording, and I do have to go. I have an
Mhm,
event in 30 minutes.
mhm.
Um,
No, for
but
sure.
yeah,
I'm really thankful and appreciative that you stayed on for the whole call.
Yeah,
answering all my questions and providing all the answers.
absolutely. Yeah, and whatever else you need, reach out to me. And then this will be, I'll upload this as soon as I can. And yeah, I'm really happy I got to help you. And thank you so much for hopping in and using this time, because not a lot of people do.
Of course, no, thank you so much for holding these calls. I'll definitely um hop in next week as well.
Awesome. Yeah. And then take all that in and just
I
like think
will.
about it and reminisce on it. And yeah, you'll be good.